Mhm.
Okay, so good morning. Today we want to talk about what can you really get for a couple $1,000s as a business. And I don't know if you stopped and thought about it, but uh, you can't get much. The reality is you cannot get much for a couple $1,000s. And so I want to talk about that and lay out some of those things today. And I'm going to share my screen a little bit. And I'm just going to start with the top. So at the very basic, if you're a business owner, and you're looking to invest in your business and grow your business, really there's two ways to do it that I think of. You can either increase your skill set or you can increase your marketing, right? If we all agree on that. So let me just start here. So let's say you decided you're going to increase your skill set and you're a business and you're going to go out and join a Vistage group. Anybody have any idea how much Vistage costs? Don't write it in the chat because we got two people driving. Vistage costs between $15,000 and $18,000 a year. So from a standpoint of market share, what they're looking for, they're not really franchised. If the people that run Vistage groups have to go out and find businesses that are typically doing about $5 million in revenue, and those businesses will invest, like I said, $15,000 to $18,000 for a monthly meeting and an hour and a half of coaching from a Vistage chair. Quite the investment. Some people decide to hire a coach. But I can tell you, and we have lots of coaches, the average investment for a business owner in a coaching practice is around $12,000 annually. On the low side, $600 a month. So $7,000 to $12,000 for a coach. Not an inexpensive proposition. If you want to get training in sales, Sandler has some Zoom meetings people can join, and those Zoom meetings last for typically 13 weeks, and you're going to pay about $6,000 for that, just to hopefully increase your sales skills. And while they do a great job, it's not an inexpensive investment. Some of you may or may not have heard of a company called TAB, the Alternative Board. The Alternative Board is similar to Vistage in that they put together a group of members. It is a franchise. They put together a group of members who come together at a board meeting, and typically this investment is about $5,500 to $6,000 a year. So they're looking for a little smaller businesses similar that would join Network in Action, but the investment is 3 times as much. So I've just gone through, there's one other one. Some of you may have just heard on the last Sales Mastery, the offer to learn how to use LinkedIn better. That is a 6 2-hour course, I do believe, $2,900. So there was a discount for Network in Action members down to $2,200, but you could spend, 6 different sessions, about 2 hours a session, and it would cost you $2,900. So my point here is when it comes to coaching and training, you don't get a lot for $2,000. I think it's worth noting here as franchise owners that if you look at both the Alternative Board and Action Coach, both models, you would think that if they're out teaching business owners how to run their business, they would have all the answers. I think that's a safe assumption. And yet both of them have lost enormous market share over the last 2 years. And of course, they blame it on COVID. I don't say that to disparage Action Coach or the Alternative Board. There were a lot of franchises that really suffered, but you're a part of a franchise that doubled in size 2 years in a row during COVID. So I hope that gives you great confidence in our price point, in our value proposition, and in what we offer the small business. If 2 of the largest training franchise brands are going south, I think I think Action Coach, don't quote me on this, but they went from about 1,100 franchise. They lost 17%. I think they went down by 200 franchise, 200 failures, 200 families, that they couldn't right the ship. And so I think it, again, speaks volumes about what you all are doing for businesses and our value proposition, because, again, we doubled in size. Okay, I'm going to put up a calculator here real quick because this comes up often. And I don't think people understand the real cost of B&I. So B&I is a $300 application fee. They then charge $700 today for membership. They try to get people to buy for 2 years, and it's like 12 something. And they tell them up front, you need to be a member for 2 years to see value. I say baloney. So we're at $1,000. And then what they call hospitality costs, and they're two different ones. Typically, on average, around the country, it's $260 for room rental. And I just messed up my calculation, I'm sorry. So that puts us at $1,260, $300 for the application, $700 for membership, and $260 a year to rent the room. And then, as many of you know, you've got to spend $25 on average, and it's going up. We think it's closer to 30, but let's stay with the old figure from 4 years ago. $25 times 52 weeks. Let's say you're going to have a couple of weeks you miss. So 25 times 50 is another $1,200 or so dollars. So again, I'm messing up my deal. So we're at $1,260, and we're going to add another $1,200 in food costs. In 9 years, I've had one person say, well, I have to eat. And I go, yeah, but you don't have to eat powdered eggs and overcooked bacon and biscuits you don't want that are harder than the table you're sitting on. So the average investment is $2,460 annually in other networking groups. But if you think about it, the real cost, so if we're at $1,995 plus $200, we're at $300 cheaper already. But the real cost comes in the number of hours a year that are saved. So if you think about it, they're requiring a 90-minute meeting, and I'm going to call it 50 weeks. That's 4,500 hours, and we're requiring a 90-minute meeting. Is that right? I'm sorry, that's not right. Let me back up. Let's do this separate. Let's say that we're going to have 50 meetings, and with drive time, it's going to take us 2 hours. So 50 meetings times 2 hours per meeting is 100 hours. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to require 12 meetings times 2 hours, it's 24. So 50 minus 24 is 26 hours. And I would venture to guess that the average business owner considers their time worth at least $200. So that means that the investment in B&I with your time and expenses is about a $6,000 difference between what we offer. Not even moving over to talk about the quality of the leadership, the quality of the members, the quality of the referrals being passed, and all the different added values. Okay, so let's talk about a few other items. And I'm going to go through these quickly. We've gone through the different costs of things. What else might someone do? Someone might decide to buy a print ad in a publication. All right, and a print ad in a publication, a local publication in their neighborhood, is going to run them about $1,700 a quarter. All right, a quarter. Now, what is the long-term value proposition of a print ad? I can tell you, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I did for years. People like to say, well, it's a quarterly publication, so that means you've got 3 months of value. Or they might say it's a biannual publication. You have 6 months of value. Or they might be the local newspaper and it comes out every day. The truth is, the hidden agenda of every print publisher is that the real time value of that publication is typically about 4 to 7 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the amount of time a consumer spends on a page of a publication.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky, there's an article next to it that they want to read, but they're, again, it's paying attention to the article. So think about all the millions of dollars. And this is why thousands of print publications have gone out of business, is people have gotten smart and they realize, I don't want to invest $8,000 a year in a print ad where the value is literally seconds. Because once I move off of that page, if I'm looking at People magazine, you know, I don't go back to that magazine during the month. And if I do, I spend another 7 seconds. So that's why you see the death of the print industry by and large. Sorry, Giselle and Janice. Okay, you could do direct mail. We used to do direct mail in my company. And I can tell you, direct mail, the average person is going to spend about $2,100, depending on a lot of variables, each time they mail something. How many of you gotten postcards in the mail? You glance at it, you don't even get 7 seconds, right? And that's why these franchises that are doing direct mail are doing so poorly. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but like when it goes back to print ads, one of the largest companies, I forget the name of it, but they're a publication company. It's a franchise model. And it's a franchise model, and they put out little bitty small local publications. And they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of franchises that have stopped doing it, that just never get off the ground. Okay, now let's move away from print and let's go to the internet. SEO search. What do you think a company has to spend on SEO search? I don't know if you search lately, but no matter what you search, however small a business, there's a bunch of giants in front of them. And SEO search has really gotten expensive, and it's really gotten difficult to be up at the top. But it's not unusual that you would spend $3,500 a month on SEO search. That's what we're spending, but we have a ticket item of $35,000 when we sell a franchise. So if a business owner decides to do SEO search that you're competing with for marketing dollars, they're sure not going to get much. All right, Google AdWords. That's where you Google BNI and Network in Action comes out on top of it. Sounds easy. You pay a fee every time somebody looks at it or clicks on it. But the reality is there's two competing things here that drive the cost. Number one is competition. So if you're looking at moving vans in California, where everybody's moving out of California, and you have a moving company, it's very expensive to have Google AdWords to show up at the top. I'm talking about maybe $40 to $70 every time somebody clicks on it. Now, that's not a job. That's just to get them to see your website. That's one challenge. The other challenge is that if it's a AdWords that people don't click on a lot, so let's say you're in Mobile, Alabama, and nobody's really looking for business coaches that often, it also drives the price up. But it wouldn't be unusual with Google AdWords that you would need to budget $750 times 12 months. So again, you're talking about over 8K. All right, let's look at a couple other things. We've talked Google AdWords. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn ads. We don't run LinkedIn ads because they're cost prohibitive. It's very seldom that you can get a LinkedIn ad in any category for less than $60 a click. Very expensive. All right. So our businesses that you compete, that you're trying to talk to, do not typically do that. What about video? Video production? I would say you're going to get very little for less than $3,000 of video, unless you're just shooting it with your iPhone. 5-star review software. The average that we've seen, which is not with a text, but it's email, is $2,100 annually. $2,100 if a company wants to buy software that's inferior to Repman, okay, and get 5-star reviews. All right, so this is most of the items. Is there anybody that can think of something else they need me to cover that has not been covered here in terms of what a person can spend money on marketing?
I talked with a guy this last week.
in regards to radio. So like iHeartRadio,
Yeah.
things like
So
that.
I actually had called Moose a little bit ago because that's his background. But I can tell you that to produce the commercial for iHeartRadio costs far more than what we're paying for membership and network and action for a year.
Yeah, his recommended net spend, because I was just asking in general, just for the benefit of anybody who would be a member of one of my groups. And his recommended spend was $1,500 a month just for some radio spots, the chance to be interviewed and things like that. And then the SEO and stuff that he would also do.
Yeah, I thought about radio and TV, and I thought most of our businesses aren't doing that, so I left that off. But yeah, radio, $1,500 a month. You know, you're talking about $18K a year.
And that was minimum.
Yeah, and there's very little chance of return on your investment. So at the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make here is that I think we offer a heck of a value, because every single one of these items, keep this in mind, every single one of these items, when you quit spending the money, the benefit goes away 100%. Where all of us experienced franchise owners like Joyce and David and myself who've been here a while know that, you know, Joyce has members that are still getting referrals that are no longer in her group. They may have invested for a year or 2 or 3. They made friends with people. They're no longer in the group for whatever reason, and the benefit of their membership still gave them value. So obviously I have drank the Kool-Aid, but I think I can make the argument that the best investment in your kind. I'm going to tell you another one. We had guests in town last week, and there were 3 of them and 2 of us. So dinner for 5 with an advisor. Anybody want to guess what it was? And that was only 2 glasses of wine purchased. $780
I can believe it.
for one dinner. One dinner that's going to give me no residual benefit to growing this organization. Let's throw in one other. I mean, some of our members, not many, might attend to do a trade show. You know how much a trash can cost? Anybody want to guess what a trash can cost at this trade show coming up this week in Vegas? A trash can. You're renting it. You're not buying it. $37. So you're rarely going to go to a trade show and not invest $4,500, and that's really low. I mean, this week at the trade show, the booth alone was $6,500. That's not talking about manning or getting equipment there, or people or supplies or your banners or anything else. So at the end of the day, here's the point, and I think you see it. At the end of the day, business owners have lots of options about how to spend their money. But I would argue very, very few of them are less than $2,000. And of those, guess how many have a guarantee?
None.
None. None of them have a guarantee. Most of them are more expensive. Most of them will bring less value. So less value, more expensive, and no guarantee. That ought to give you great confidence to present network in action to business owners. And maybe you change a little bit what you've been doing and you just start asking a bunch of questions. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Amy, how important is it you grow your business in the next 12 months? And they say an 8. And then you say, okay, what are your plans to do that? What budget do you have invested to do that? How far will that move the needle? Because Amy, I think I have a better option for you. And oh, by the way, it comes with a guarantee, so you're not taking any risk. So most small business owners don't do any of this. What do? They join the chamber and hope. They join the chamber and hope. And hope, as we know, is not a plan. So I'll put this video up. We'll put this information on Nest under training. We'll let you know where. I'll clean it up a little bit. And hopefully this comparison of what business owners could do to move the needle in their company helps you feel like network in action has more value than you've ever thought that it had. All right. Any questions? If not, I will see you tomorrow at 9:30 and Friday. I'll post that as well right now. Thank y'all so much for joining. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Scott.
Have a good day.
Bye.